Hello everyone, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club welcoming you back to the channel. Tonight we'll be continuing with our playthrough of Eldritch Horror. This is episode 2. Before we commence the playthrough, I have some corrections from the previous video and I'm going to take care of those right now. In the previous episode, Min gained a +1 to lore, and that came from I read the wrong passage in the encounter card. She was actually in Tokyo, and I read the, I think, Shanghai result. So she does not get the +1 to lore. The next correction involves William Yorick. He was in Sydney, and I did a combat against a ghoul, and he was detained. So we're going to return everything back to the way it was with the ghoul, and we'll give him back the equipment that he lost and the 2 sanity loss that he undertook, and we will resolve the detained condition as we should have. So we're going to give him back his 2 sanity that he lost in the combat and his alchemical concoction, and then we're going to resolve this detained condition. And it says on here that you can't do any other action other than the local action, and I didn't do that. Yeah, it says here, instead of resolving an encounter, flip the card. So he wouldn't have had that combat against the ghoul. So we'll flip the card and see what happens. And this is starved for weeks. You are kept in a small cell without food for weeks. Every day, your captors interrogate you for information. Spend 1 clue or test strength -1. If you fail, you are finally released. You are ravenous. Lose 2 health and gain a hunger condition. Then discard the card. All right, well, he doesn't have any clues. So what he'll have to do is the strength -1 test. His strength is a 3, so he'll be using 2 dice for the test. Here's the roll. And he failed. Okay, so in that case, the card is discarded. He's going to lose 2 health. That'll move him down from 7 down to 5. And then he's going to gain a hunger condition instead. So we'll give him a hunger condition. So he gains the hunger condition. It's a madness. It says when you perform a rest action, you cannot recover sanity. Roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6. Discard the card. During a reckoning phase, test will. If you fail, flip the card. Okay, so that covers that. Now, my greatest oversight was, if you're watching the last video, all of these gates came out. The entire gate stack came out on the board. And I got a little bit overwhelmed with that. What I needed to do is the next part of the reckoning phase where we have to do conditions and items. So I'm going to take care of that next. We'll start with Min. Now, Min got this blight after the fact, so we won't have to resolve that. That reckoning effect didn't exist at that point. So she has no conditions that she has to work with. We'll move on to William Yorick. William Yorick has the hunger condition, just that would have been there, and this corruption one. So we can decide in which order we want to do it. I guess we'll start with the corruption. It says during a reckoning, gain an Eldritch token and then flip the card. So he is going to gain an Eldritch token, and we'll see what this card has to say. It says you may gain a Dark Pact condition to discard all of your Eldritch tokens. Everywhere you go, bad things happen. A cloud of misfortune surrounds you. Resolve each effect that applies based on the number of Eldritch tokens you have. 1 or more, discard an ally asset. Okay, so that's what it would be. He has 1 Eldritch token. I don't want to take the Dark Pact. That's we don't want to do that. So we have 1. It says discard an ally asset. And then flip the card. So he has no allies. So we'll do that. Flip this card back. And that completes that. The hunger one now, that would have been there at the time of the reckoning. So test willpower. He has a will of 3. So we will roll 3 dice and see what happens. He failed. We have to flip the card. Oh boy. that says bloodlust. The hunger has been growing for days, and you lose yourself to your gluttonous desires. When you awake, your hands and face are smeared with blood, and your companion lies dead before you. Another investigator on your space loses 2 health, and you lose 1 sanity and discard 1 ally asset. Then flip the card. Well, we have no other investigator on his space, so that 2 health won't apply, but it says you lose 1 sanity and discard an ally. He has no allies, so we will just discard the sanity for him and then flip the card. We'll move on now to Vincent Lee. Vincent Lee has no possessions or conditions with reckoning effects. So that leaves us with Zoe Samaras. Well, we have 2 cards that will have to be resolved. One of them is the conspiracy theorist. It says on a reckoning, roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, gain a clue. So we will do that. She rolls a 3, so no love there. Next is the bless condition. Roll 1 die. On a 1 or 2, discard the card. Okay, see if she can keep her bless condition. And she does, which is great. Okay, that is going to complete the reckoning phase from the previous turn that I forgot about, and we'll return now to the game. All right, needless to say, we have our work cut out for us, as you can see. That failed rumor card spawned all of these gates and all of these creatures, and we were only working on the second adventure of the first mystery card, so I don't have much faith that we're going to be able to do much here, but let's just see what we can do. There was one other change, and a mummy came out in the heart of Africa, and its special conditions said that it has to be moved to the pyramids. So I'd move that to the pyramids, and that's where we have to go, as a matter of fact, in order to try to solve the next adventure. So right now we have our lead investigator is Min Tai Fan, and she's currently in Tunguska. So I'm going to have to come up with some kind of plan. We know that there's going to be a reckoning effect happening during this turn. So all of these gates out, we're going to be losing a lot of the doom track. Well, the only thing I can come up with is I have to make my way to the pyramids to try to solve these adventures before we lose all of the doom track. So what I'm going to do is we'll have Min prepare for travel. She's going to get a rail ticket. I'm going to have her move to space 16. I'll spend the rail ticket, and then she'll move to Istanbul, and she's going to have to battle that cultist that's there. And if she can do that, maybe we can close the gate in Istanbul. So that'll be her 2 actions. Next up is William Yorick. Now that ghoul had been returned there, of course, because we never got to the battle with him. So I think what I'll do is I'll have Yorick do a move action. We'll have him move to Antarctica, and maybe he can take care of this Antarctic gate that's open there. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a omen track movement that will make this a blue omen. So all of the blue gates are going to be moving the doom track down. So if we can at least close some of them, they'll save us some doom on the track. So we'll have Yorick move there. That'll be his first action. His second action will be to focus, and he'll gain a focus token. All right, we'll move on to Vincent Lee. I think Vincent Lee will do the same thing that Min did. He's going to start by gaining a rail ticket. That'll be his first action. Second action will be a move, and then spending the rail ticket to go to Istanbul. We get a benefit if Min is in the same space with another character. Each character would gain +1 to any skill test, so that's kind of a good force multiplier for us. That will be Vincent Lee's turn, and finally we'll move on to Zoe Samaras. Zoe's in Cape Town, South Africa, and I think the best thing we can do there is try to get to the pyramids. So I think in the meantime, I'll have her take this uncharted path, a move action into the heart of Africa. That'll be her first action, and her second action will be a focus. That'll earn her her second focus token. And that'll be all the actions for this turn. And we'll begin the encounter phase with Min. She's currently in Istanbul, and there is a cultist there, so she's going to have to combat the cultist. All right, we begin to battle the cultist. We have to do a will -1 test. Min has a will of 2. She's going to gain 1 for being in the same space with Vincent, so that's 3. -1, she'll be rolling 2 dice for this will test. She has 1 focus. Okay, and here is the will test. She's passed it, so she's got 1 success. The horror value of the cultist is 0, so we don't have to worry about any loss, which is great. We'll move on now to the strength test. The cultist has a damage value of 1 with 1 toughness. She has the Kofesh of the Abyss, which is going to give her +5 to strength during combat encounters. So her normal strength is 2, +5 is 7. She'll be rolling 7 dice for the test. And here's the roll. And she's got plenty of successes. She's got 3 of them. That's sufficient to take out the cultist, which is great. So we'll remove the cultist and put that token back into the monster cup. And then now, since there's no monsters here, she can undertake another encounter. And I guess I'll have her try to close the gate in Istanbul. And she's going to be entering the Great Hall of Solano. Something terrible happened in this section of the library. The walls are scorched. Most of the books are ruined, and the shelves seem to be on the brink of collapse. The smell of burnt flesh threatens to overwhelm you. Test will. Okay, she's going to have to do a will test. She has a will of 2. She gains 1 for Vincent being in the same space as her. She'll be rolling 3 dice for the test. Let's see if she can pass this. Okay, here is the roll. And she's failed. Well, I guess I'm going to have her spend her focus token. And we'll have her do a re-roll on one of those in the attempt to try to pass this. Here's the roll. And she's failed. Okay, we have to read the fail condition for this. And I know the board is cluttered. I have very little space on here. I'll just read it off camera here. And it says, you choke on the smoke and fumes. Gain an internal injury condition. As you cough, a shelf starts to topple. Test strength. Okay, so we have to gain an internal injury condition. All right, so she's gained the internal injury, and that says when you perform a rest action, you may roll 1 die, and a 5 or 6, discard the card. During a reckoning phase, we have to test strength. If you fail, flip the card. All right, so we have to do a strength test now. Her strength is 2. All right, she gains +1 for Vincent Lee being there, so she'll be rolling 3 dice for this test. Okay, here is the roll. And she's passed that, so let's read the pass condition here. If you pass, you keep it standing, and the keepers of these tomes are grateful. Close this gate. Well, that's pretty good. So we've closed the gate in Istanbul, which is at least some progress. We'll give this internal injury card to Min, and at least we're making some progress here. All right. Next up is William Yorick, and he's currently in Antarctica. We have the choice then of either the token encounters or a location encounter. And I guess we have to try to close the gate. That's the best thing that we can do. So we'll do try to close the gate in Antarctica. And this time we're headed for Yuggoth. Strange luminescent murals have been painted on the dark stone. They depict a family of outer gods. You may spend 1 focus to learn the story being shown. If you spend the focus, resolve the pass effect. If you do not spend the focus, resolve the fail. Well, he has 1 focus token, so I think we will spend it. And we'll read the pass effect. The children of Coxcooth fled Yuggoth to avoid being eaten by their father. You can use their path to return home. Close this gate. All right. That is great. So we've closed the gate in Antarctica. And now we'll continue reading. However, some of the glowing paint got on your skin. Test observation. All right, he has an observation of 2. Okay, here is his observation of 2. And he's failed. All right, the only thing we can do is I have this corruption card. And that would allow us to gain an Eldritch token to re-roll the die when resolving a test. So I guess we could try to do that. We've already closed the gate. I think, well, what is it? It says, if you fail, your flesh rots, lose 2 sanity, and gain the infection condition. We only have a 1 in 3 chance of trying to stop this if I take the Eldritch token. I guess we'll try it. I'll take the Eldritch token and we'll do a reroll using the corruption card. So he's got 2 Eldritch tokens on him right now, and we'll re-roll one of these dice. Here's the re-roll. And he's failed. Well, I got no other recourse, so that means that flesh rots, lose 2 sanity. That'll move us down to 2 sanity total. And we're going to gain an infection condition. And so William gains the infection condition. That says when you perform a rest action, you cannot recover health. Roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, discard the card. During reckoning effects, test strength. If you fail, flip the card. Well, stuff is really going south quick for us. All right, so at least we've closed the gate, and I guess we'll move on to Vincent Lee. All right, Vincent Lee is in Istanbul, and I guess he will take a European encounter in Istanbul. And the card reads, I don't know if I can fit it in here. Probably not. Well, I'll just read it off camera. It says, a member of the Varygian Guard trains you. Improve 1 skill of your choice. All right, well, let's take a look at Vincent Lee and see where he needs help. Well, Vincent's lowest score is lore, but I don't think that's going to help him too much, the character that he is. I think we'll take the strength bonus and we'll improve his strength up by 1 to 3. Then we'll continue reading the card. Okay, the rest of the card says, the secretive order then puts you through a terrifying initiation ritual. He has to test will -1. All right, Vincent Lee has a will of 4. He gains 1 for Min being in his space. That's 5. -1 is 4. He'll be rolling 4 dice. Okay, here is the roll. And he's past that. He's got 3 successes, so we'll read the pass condition. Hopefully it's something good. If you pass, you become a full member. Improve influence. Well, that's great. So that's going to improve Vincent up to 4 on his influence, which is great. That's going to end his turn, and we'll move on now to Zoe Samaras. She is in the Heart of Africa. All right, Zoe, I think, is going to attempt to close the Heart of Africa gate, and we'll see what happens. All right, this time we are in the Plateau of Lang. It reads, a robed figure tells you that he's going to devour you and use your soul to fuel his arcane might. You want to run away, but as you listen to his words, you feel a cold paralysis overtake you. You struggle to resist the effects of his spell. All right, she's going to have to test willpower. Her willpower is 4. All right, Zoe is still blessed, so she'll be rolling the blue dice. We'll see if we can pass this. And here's the roll. And she's done it. She's got 1 4, which is sufficient. Let's read on. You strike the wizard, disrupting his magic. The portal starts to fade. Running toward the portal, something gets caught on your clothes. Test observation. Well, unfortunately, Zoe only has an observation of 1. That is not so good. So we'll try it. She has 2 focus tokens, though, and a clue. Here is the roll. And that's a miss. I guess we'll spend her second focus and see if we can get a success here. And she's failed. Oh boy. If you fail, you don't notice the amulet of the hound. Gain a hunted condition. Whether you pass or not, close the gate. All right, well, I guess we'll do that. We'll close the gate, and she's going to gain a hunted condition. And that hunted condition is pursuit. When you perform a travel action, you may roll 1 die. On a 5 or 6, discard the card. During a reckoning, we'll have to test observation, and if we fail, we have to flip the card. Okay. Well, at least we've managed to close some gates. That will help a little bit. But now we're going to go into the mythos phase, and we'll draw the card. And we draw the card, Played for a Fool. We'll begin with a omen track movement. And the omen track moves to the blue symbol. So we're going to lose doom track for every blue gate that is currently open on the board. Right now we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So the doom track will move down 5. So our doom track now moves from 10 down to 5. Not good. And the next part of the card is the reckoning phase. We'll go through those and see what happens. All right, the first part is we have to resolve any monsters with reckoning effects. And there's so many of these things on the board. I think what I'm going to do is just take care of those off camera, and I'll just let you know the results. All right, the results of the monster reckoning effects. We have a dark young here in Atlantis. We had to roll a die. On a 1 or 2, we would advance the doom track. It did not happen. There's a firebug down in Buenos Aires. Same condition. We rolled a 2. Doom track went down from 5 to 4. Then we had a Shoggoth in Tunguska, and that would have been just to heal itself. But we had this proto-Shoggoth in the pyramids, and that says move the monster 1 space toward the nearest investigator, and then that investigator must immediately encounter the monster. So I chose to move it since it's equidistant between Istanbul and the heart of Africa. We can move to either space. I think maybe I will move it into Min's space in Istanbul. We have probably a better chance on trying to defeat that thing. Yeah, I'll do that. So we'll move the Proto-Shoggoth into Istanbul, and I'll have Min step to the plate. She has that Kofesh of the Abyss, and we'll let her kind of play that out, I think. So we have to encounter this monster out of sequence. All right, the first step is we have to do a will test. She has a will of 2, and she gains 1 for Vincent Lee in the same space, so she'll be rolling 3 dice for this will test. Creature has a sanity, a horror level of 2, so let's see what we can do with this. She's got 1 success, so that's going to cost her 1 sanity. That'll move her down to 3 sanity, and now we can undertake the combat effects. It's a strength -1. She has a strength of 2. She gains 1 for Vincent, that's 3, and she's going to use the Kofesh of the Abyss, which is going to give her +5. So she'll be rolling a total of 8 dice -1. She'll be rolling 7. This creature has a damage value of 3 and a toughness of 3. So hopefully we can get 3 successes here. Here's the roll. And she's got 4 successes. How about that? That's great. So she takes no damage, and we end up killing this thing, which is great. The Proto-Shoggoth is no more. Good job by Min. All right, back to the reckoning effects, and the next step is for the Ancient One. The Ancient One is going to place 2 Eldritch tokens on the investigators. So I think what we'll do is I'll place both of them on Zoe Samaras. She has the highest sanity level at 7, so we'll place 2 on her. That'll move her up to a total of 3 of those Eldritch tokens. All right. Next portion of the reckoning would be mythos cards that are active. There are none. So then we move on to possessions and conditions, and we'll start with the lead investigator, Min. All right, Min has 2 cards we'll have to deal with, an internal injury and the blight. I guess we'll start with the internal injury. It says test strength. If you fail, flip the card. She has a strength of 2, and she gains +1 for Lee being in the space, so that'll be a total of 3 dice for her. And here's the roll. And she's failed. Oh boy, I don't have any ability to re-roll other than the clue token. I guess we'll flip the card. I apologize, I had a phone call. We flipped the card, it's fading health. The pain in your gut continues to grow and your fever worsens. You know for sure now that this is no mere injury. Gain an illness condition and then discard the card. Oh boy. All right, we'll gain an illness condition. And we've drawn the illness poisoned. When you perform a rest action, you cannot recover health nor sanity. Flip this card. And then during a reckoning, we're going to lose 1 health. All right, the other one is a blight. That says here, the allies you surround yourself with act erratically and without cause. Flip the card. Okay, so let's see what happens. Psychotic break. The grisly attack is sure to be tomorrow's headline. Resolve 1 effect of your choice. Discard 1 ally asset, then flip this card, or lose 3 health, impairing influence and strength, and then discard the card. Well, I think she's just going to do the first one, discard an ally. She has none, and then we will flip the card back. She's in the same space as Vincent Lee, and then maybe he can at least get rid of this poison condition, and then we'll try to deal with that blight somehow. All right, next up is William Yorick. He's got a hunger condition, corruption, and infection. Boy, oh boy. Okay, this first one is hunger. Test willpower. If you fail, flip the card. He has a willpower of 3, so we'll have him roll the 3 dice. Okay, here's the roll. He's past that, so we're good with the hunger one. Next is infection. Test strength. If you fail, flip the card. He has a strength of 3. He's past that. Okay, then the corruption. Gain an Eldritch token and then flip the card. Oh boy. All right, this is his 3rd Eldritch token. He has a sanity level of 5. We'll flip the card and see what happens. Corruption. You may gain a Dark Pact condition to discard all of your Eldritch tokens. I don't want to do that yet. Everywhere you go, bad things happen. A cloud of misfortune surrounds you. Resolve each effect that applies based on the number of Eldritch tokens you have. Okay, discard an ally. We don't have any. 3 or greater. Another investigator gains a Bane condition. Oh my goodness, this thing is just spiraling out of control. So another investigator is going to gain a Bane. Well, I guess we'll give it to Vincent Lee. He's the only one that doesn't have any type of effects like that, so I'll get him the Bane. And the Bane is going to be a cursed condition. Only 6s will count as successes on your tests. If you would gain another curse condition, flip the card. If you would gain a blessed condition, discard the card instead. And then during a reckoning effect, we're going to roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, we can discard the card. Okay, so we'll give that to Vincent Lee. All right. All right, that's going to complete Yorick's reckoning effects. We'll move on to Vincent Lee. Well, Vincent doesn't have any. He just received this cursed Bane that he just got. And I'll have to check in the rules to see if we have to honor that during this reckoning phase or not. I don't think so, but I'm going to check the rules. Well, I looked in the reckoning section, and it doesn't say that if you gain one during the reckoning phase that hasn't been resolved, that you don't, so I guess we have to do it. We're going to roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6. We can discard the card. So let's see if we can do that. Here's the roll. He rolled a 1, so no help there. He'll keep the card. There is nothing else he has to deal with. And finally, we'll move on to Zoe Samaras. All right, Zoe has several conditions that we're going to have to deal with. The first one here is hunted. We have to test observation. If we fail, we're going to flip the card. Maybe we'll save that one for last. The other one is this conspiracy theorist. We'll roll a die there and see if we can gain a clue token. Let's try that. Nope, no help there. That's a 1. The next is the blessed condition. We have to roll a die. On a 1 or 2, we have to discard it. She rolled a 4, so we get to keep it. And then finally, it's the hunted condition. We have to test observation. She only has an observation of 1. Here's the roll. She passed it, so the card will just stay where it is. Okay, so that's going to be all of the reckoning conditions and items. We'll return back to the card now. All right, the next effect is a spawning of a gate. Well, there are no gates in the gate stack, but we do have 3 in the discard pile. So what we're going to do is just randomize those 3, and we'll pull a gate and see where it comes out. Okay, this gate is the heart of Africa, and that's right where Zoe is, as a matter of fact. So we'll get a stand for that gate. And then we're going to have to draw a monster. And she draws a Shoggoth. That has a reckoning effect. Won't happen this turn, but this monster recovers all health. It has a 4 for its endurance. That's pretty tough. Oh boy. Okay, now we're going to get to the event. And that says, in your quest for forbidden knowledge, you have let your enemies use your greatest strength against you. The dark forces know how easily you could be blinded by your own pride, played for a fool. Each investigator loses 2 sanity and impairs the highest skill unless he spends a clue. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, the only investigators that have clues are Zoe and Min. So they could prevent losing that stuff. I think we're going to have to for Min. That would put her down to 1 sanity. So Min is going to spend her clue token to prevent that from occurring. The others don't have any other than Zoe, and she has enough sanity, I think. So we'll just go through these one at a time and then impair their highest ability. Well, for Yorick, it's not going to matter. He only has 2 sanity left. That is going to take him out. So, poor Yorick is defeated in Antarctica. That's going to advance the doom by 1, moving it down to 3. From 4 to 3. And we'll go through the steps of a defeated investigator. Next one is relocation. Move the investigator token to the nearest city space. Then lay the investigator token on its side with either a health or a sanity token to indicate the condition that caused his demise. The nearest city is Sydney, so he'll be moving to Sydney. So we lay Yorick down. We'll give him a sanity token to mark that that's what caused his demise. And then we're going to collect all his possessions. We'll discard all of the condition cards, health, sanity, and improvement tokens, and then place all of his possessions on his investigator sheet. And if we move there, we can try to reclaim some of his items, I guess. All right, that finishes the fate of William Yorick. We'll move on now to Vincent Lee. Vincent does not have any clue tokens, so he's going to have to lose the 2 sanity. That'll move him from 6 down to 4. And then he's going to have to impair his strongest skill, and it looks like that's going to be, well, I guess it would be his influence now is 4. Will is also 4. I guess we'll get rid of that bonus that he had on the influence. That'll be impaired. And finally, we'll move to Zoe Samaras. Zoe has the clue, but we're going to need that at the pyramids eventually. Boy, this is hard. I I guess she'll spend the clue to prevent that loss. Otherwise, we're going to be diminishing our, in this case, it would be the willpower, and she'll lose 2 sanity. So we'll spend the clue to stop it. And that is going to complete this round. And our replacement investigator is going to be the actress Lola Hayes. She's going to start in Tokyo with a .18 Derringer asset, and she can improve a skill of her choice. Let's take a look at her capabilities here. And she gets to improve a skill of her choice. Well, I think the strength and willpower is probably the most important, so I think we'll give her an improvement to strength. So I'll improve her strength up to 3, and then we'll get out her 5 starting health and 7 sanity. And she's going to begin the next round in Tokyo. Well, the Doom track is currently at 3, so I think we're going to be seeing the emergence of Nyarlathotep very soon. All right, we'll continue on, and I guess we'll continue with the lead investigator being Min, and we'll start the turn. Well, I guess our best thing that we can do for Min is we can't do a rest action because she has that poison condition. She can't recover health or sanity. So I think we'll just have to wait till Vincent Lee maybe can try to repair her in that department. I think what she'll do is she'll take a focus token, and then she's going to move to the pyramids from Istanbul. Now, there's 2 monsters there, but we'll try it. Okay, that's going to be her 2 actions. We'll move on now to the new character, Lola Hayes. She is in Tokyo. And I think Lola is going to take a focus and a resource token. That'll be her 2 actions, and she'll try to stay there and maybe combat the cultist and then possibly close the gate in Tokyo. Lee is up next, so I think what he'll do is a move action following Min into the pyramids, and then he's going to use his action ability. It says you or another investigator in your space may discard 1 injury or illness condition and perform a rest action. So that's what we'll do, and he'll use that on Min to get rid of her illness condition. She has the poison, so we can discard that and then perform a rest action. All right. So Min is going to be able to recover 1 sanity, and that's it. She's already full health. So that's all that we can do. At least it's some improvement. And Zoe Samaras is up next, and I think what she'll do is she is currently being hunted, so I'm going to have her do a move action into Cape Town, South Africa. And that hunted condition says when you perform a travel action, you may roll a die. On a 5 or 6, discard the card. So we'll try to do that. And here's the roll. And she's unsuccessful. So, all right, she has moved into Cape Town, and she has 1 action remaining, and I guess she will just do a focus, and she'll earn a focus token there. That'll complete the actions phase. We'll move on to the encounters phase. All right, Min is at the pyramids. There is a mummy and a Yithian in the location, so we have to do a combat action first. We'll have to decide on which of these we want to. I believe we have to fight each of them. I'm going to double check that. And that is true. We have to fight 1 combat round against each of them, but we can decide the order. The mummy has a toughness of 3 with a strength test of -2. That might be a little harder. The Yithian is a toughness of 5. We'll save that one for last, I guess. So Min is going to go after the mummy. She has a willpower of 2. She gains 1 for the other investigator in the space, so she'll be rolling 3 dice for the test. The mummy has a horror rating of 2, so let's see if we can get a couple successes here. She's got 1, so she's going to take 1 horror hit. That will move her down to 3 sanity. And now we have to attempt the combat test. It's a strength -2. Her strength is 2 plus 1 for the other character, and she's going to use that Kofesh of the Abyss, giving her +5. So that'll give her a total of 7 dice to roll. Is that correct? 5, 6, 7, 8, minus 2 is 6. So we'll be rolling 6 dice. So we'll see what happens with that. It has a toughness of 3. Okay, here is the roll. And she gets a total of 2. She's got 2 damage. The creature has a damage rating of 2, so that's absorbed with that. So we'll just place 2 of the wound tokens on the mummy. It's still alive, but barely. Boy, this is getting crowded in here. Okay, the next one now we have to combat is that Yithian, I believe it was. Yes, Yithian. We have to start out with a will -1 test. And she'll be rolling a total of 3 dice. Minus 1 is 2 dice for this test. Okay. It says here, if you lose sanity from the will test, move to a random space. Do not resolve the strength test. Oh boy. Okay, here is the roll. She's passed it. She's got 1 success. So it has a horror rating of 2. She's going to lose an additional sanity. She's down to 2 sanity now. And now we can undertake the strength test. And she's going to have the same situation as last time, except this one is a -1. So she'll be rolling 7 dice for this combat test. It's 5 for the Kofesh, 2 for her strength, 1 for Lee. That's 8. -1 is 7. Okay, here's the 7 dice. We need 5 to get the toughness on this, but let's see what happens. And she scored a total of 3. So she's got 3 hits. That's enough to absorb the damage she would have taken, and we'll place 3 damage on the Yithian. All right, that's going to complete Min's turn. She can't do anything else because there are active monsters in the space. So we'll move on now to Lola Hayes. All right, Lola is in Tokyo with a cultist, so we'll have to do a combat encounter. She has a .18 Derringer, which is going to give her add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a strength test during combat. All right, the first step is the will test. She has a will of 3. It's a -1 test, so she'll be rolling 2 dice. 2 dice for the test. Whoops. Okay, here's the roll. And she's passed it. So she has 1 success. It has 0 horror, so we've passed that. We'll move on to the strength test. She has a strength of 3 with her improvement, and she gets to add 1 to the result of 1 die with the .18 Derringer. So we'll do that. Okay, here is the roll. And she's got 2 hits, so that's sufficient to take out the cultist, which is great. We'll put him in the monster bin. And now, since there's no monsters there, she can undertake another encounter, and I guess she'll try to close the gate in Tokyo. And we're back in the plateau of Lang, exploring a crude stone hut. You are discovered by a brutish man with horns and cloven hooves. He corners you, threatening to deliver you to the moon beasts. You try to bribe the strange man to let you go. Influence -1. Fortunately, Lola has an influence of 4, so she'll be rolling 3 dice for this test. And she has 1 focus. Here's the roll. And she's done it. She's got the success. The creature greedily accepts your offer. He tells you how to return home and destroy the doorway between worlds. Close this gate. All right, so we've closed the gate in Tokyo. That is fantastic. And we'll continue reading. As he guides you, he secretly tries to steal some of your belongings. Test observation. She has an observation level of 2, so we'll roll 2 dice. Let's see if we can stop this. She's done it. She's passed, so we don't lose any belongings, and that will end that encounter phase for Lola. We'll move on now to Vincent Lee. He's also at the pyramids, and he's going to have to battle both of those creatures that are there, and maybe he can take them out. We'll see. We'll start out with the mummy. We have to do a will test, and see what happens with that first. All right, he has a will of 4, and the mummy has a horror level of 2. Okay, here is the roll. He's got 2 successes, so that's good. That will stop any horror damage for him. We'll move on now to the strength test. He has a strength of 3, and I don't have anything else to boost that. So it's 3 minus 2. He does gain 1, I forgot, from Min. So actually his strength is 4, minus 2 is 2. He has 2. So we'll have him roll that against the mummy. The mummy already has 2 wounds on it. And he's done it. He's got 2 successes. He'll take no damage, and he's taken out the mummy. The mummy had 2 damage previous. So that's enough to take, that's enough to take that out. We'll get rid of that mummy. Great. And now we got to repeat that against the Yithian. This time we have a will minus 1. His will is 4, plus 1 for Min is 5, minus 1 is 4. He'll be rolling 4 dice for this will test. If we don't pass this, we're going to be moved to a random space. He did pass it. He's got 1 success. He'll take 1 sanity damage. That's the difference in the horror with the number of successes. So that's going to move his sanity down to 3. And now we can undertake the strength test. He has a strength of 3 with his improvement. Plus 1 for Min is 4. Minus 1 is 3. So he'll be rolling 3 dice for the test. We only need 2 more hits to take this thing out. Here's the roll. And he has no hits. I think what we'll do is he's going to spend one of his focus tokens. He has 2 of them. And we'll re-roll that. Nope. And we'll try another one. No. All right, he has no successes, so he's going to take 2 health damage. That'll move him down to 4 from his 6. And the Yithian remains. That's going to end Vincent Lee's encounter phase. We'll move on to Zoe Samaras. All right, Zoe is in Cape Town, South Africa. She'll be doing a generic city encounter. So let's get that card out. And her encounter reads, to find the city's legendary magic shop requires knowledge of key lines. Test lore minus 1. Okay, she has a lore of 3. I'll see if she's got any other pluses that she can use. No. All right, so she's going to be rolling 3 minus 1 is 2. She'll be rolling 2 dice, but she's blessed, so we'll use the blessed dice. Here's the roll. And she's failed. I guess we're going to try to use the focus token that she has, and we'll try to re-roll. I can't believe how bad these blue dice are for me. She's got it. She's passed it that time. Okay, we'll read on. If you pass, the owner will sell you only a single curio. Gain 1 random magical asset from the deck. All right, let's see what that is. And she gains the Spirit Dagger, item, weapon, magical. Gain plus 1 will and plus 2 strength during combat encounters. Okay, that's good. We'll give that to Zoe. That's going to complete the encounter phase. We'll move on to the Mythos phase. All right, we draw the Mythos card, and it's Cold Snap. We begin with a Omen track movement. The Omen track progresses clockwise, and we have the green comet symbols. We're going to check the number of green gates we have on the board, and the Doom track will move accordingly. We have 1 in Tunguska, and we have 1 in San Francisco. So it's going to move the Doom track by 2. That'll move the Doom track down to 1. So we're actually lucky to have even survived this. Okay, so that's going to complete that portion. Now we have to go on to a Reckoning phase. All right, the Reckoning phase begins, and we begin with monsters. And once again, I'm going to take care of this off camera, and I'll let you know the results. All right, I've made the rolls for the monsters, and both of the Firebug and the Dark Young, both of them ended up passing those rolls, so there was no movement in the Doom track, which was good. The other ones were Shoggoths, and those just repair any damage that they have, so none of that applied. The next portion is the Ancient One, and we're going to have to place 2 more Eldritch tokens on our investigators. I'm going to place both of them on Lola Hayes. She has a sanity level of 7, so that would be the most, she'll have the most slack in that department. And then now we would look for any mythos cards that are active. There are none. So it's possessions and conditions. Here we go. We'll begin with Min Tai Fan. She has the blight condition. It says, the allies you surround yourself with act erratically and without cause. Flip the card. So we'll do that. And that says, Psychotic Break. The grisly attack is sure to be in tomorrow's headlines. Resolve one effect of your choice. Discard an ally asset and then flip the card, or lose health, 3 health, and impair influence and strength to discard the card. I think we're going to do it. I got to get rid of this thing. So we're going to have to impair influence and strength and then lose 3 health. So we'll get rid of the 3 health. And I'll get an impairment on those other 2. Okay, so she's going to impair strength and influence. But we get rid of the card at least. All right, that's going to take care of Fan's portion. We'll move on to Lola Hayes. Lola doesn't have any conditions or items, so we'll move on to Vincent Lee. Vincent has this cursed condition, and during the reckoning phase, we're supposed to roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, we can discard it. So I hope we can do that. Let's see if we can get a good result for ourselves. He's got a 5, so we can discard the curse at least. That's good. And now it is Zoe Samaras. And she has a hunted condition, the conspiracy theorist, and the blessed condition. We'll start with the conspiracy theorist, and we'll see if we can maybe gain a clue token. So she'll make a roll. On a 4, 5, or 6, we can gain a clue. And she's done it, so we'll gain a clue token. All right, she gains a clue, and now we'll check the blessed condition. On a result of 1 or 2, we're going to lose the blessing. And she's rolled a 1, so we've lost the blessed. Okay, and then all that's left now is the hunted condition. The hunted condition says test observation. If you fail, flip the card. She has an observation of 1. Okay, here's the roll. She's passed it. She's got a 5. So we don't have to flip the card. That will finish the reckoning portion of that card. We'll move on now. It's going to be a spawning of a gate. Okay, we've got to spawn a gate. I don't think I have enough gates on the board, so we'll get an extra one. And this one's going into Istanbul. And we'll draw a monster from the cup to see what is going to come out of there. And this time it's going to be occultist. Okay, we'll place those in Istanbul. And now we move on to the event, and it says, frostbite stings your ears and nose as you stagger through the cold, desperate to find any sort of shelter. The bitter cold has crept into your coat and gloves, chilling you to the bones. Cold snap. Each investigator loses 1 health and 1 sanity and gains a hypothermia condition. Oh my goodness. All right, I'll take care of that off board, or off camera rather, and I'll see what the results of this are. All right, no one was taken out by the hypothermia and the loss of health or sanity. We've got Min with 2 health and 1 sanity. Lola Hayes has 4 health and 6 sanity. Vincent Lee has 3 health and 2 sanity. And Zoe Samaras has 4 health and 6 sanity, and then everyone gained the hypothermia card. The hypothermia card says exposure. When you perform a rest action, you cannot recover health. Roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6, discard the card. If you would gain another hypothermia condition, flip this card instead. All right. Well, I've got several of our investigators that are on 1 or 2 sanity. So, and in the case of Min, she's at 1 sanity and 2 health. She won't be able to heal in the pyramids area because of the Yithians, so she's going to have to move to a different location. I think what I'll do is I'll leave the lead investigator token with her, and we'll just try to see what happens in the next turn. Well, this video is getting long, so I think we're going to close out the video here, and we'll return with episode 3 to see what happens. I don't have very high expectations, but I want to play this through to the end and find out what happens. Maybe we'll get lucky somehow. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club, and I hope to see you again for episode 3 of my playthrough of Eldritch Horror. Thanks for watching, and have a nice evening. Good night.